Sweet 16 kicks off tomorrow. It'll be one hell of a show. The nerves, the anxiety, the tension will be off the charts. Not only for you leading up to Houston versus Illinois, the 2 versus the 3 in the South region, but during the show for our video producer, Michael Montgomery, a.k.a. Monty. He's an Iowa alum. His Hawkeyes have pulled off the win of the tournament so far when they beat the Florida Gators in the second round. And now they've got a very, very winnable game in the Sweet 16 tomorrow night. That's where we start here, breaking down these games tomorrow. 9 seed Iowa versus 4 seed Nebraska in the South region. The winner will play the winner of Illinois and Houston at the Toyota Center in Houston, Texas. This is a 7:30 Eastern tip. Nebraska is the very slightest of favorites. This is almost a pick'em here between two teams that have already seen each other twice this year, and they have split their meetings. Nebraska lost in Iowa City to the Hawkeyes in a rock fight, 57-52, and then they beat them on the final day of the regular season, 84-75 in overtime. Nebraska took care of Troy. Then they got that heart-stopping win against Vanderbilt, and as I previously mentioned, Iowa squeaked past Clemson and then stunned Florida. I don't know how you separate these teams. Both of the meetings were determined by a combined 14 points. One of them went to OT, and it was Iowa that just couldn't hit a shot in overtime when these last two played each other. You got Bennett Sturts for Iowa. You got a bunch of guys for Nebraska that combined to really get it done, but Price Sanford, their leading scorer, with 18 points per game. The Huskers, they shoot a lot of volume. You're the Big Ten junkie here. Break this one down for us. How do you separate these two teams? This feels like in a game with a low total, it feels like it's coming down to the wire once again.
Yeah, a lot of mirror images here between Iowa and Nebraska. The corn porn game is what we're calling it, right? Here on BetMGM tonight. It does make sense, and it's a rivalry game. These two programs don't really like each other a whole lot, so there's a lot on line, and obviously with a berth in the Elite Eight, most prominently on the line. You mentioned the first two games, really kind of polar opposites of one another. That first game was an absolute rock fight, played in the 50s. Second game there in the high 70s, low 80s with the bonus session in play. You look at Nebraska, a team that really shoots the ball quite well from the interior. They're netting right now 56.8% from inside the arc over the last month. So far in games played in the month of March, which is 7 in total. Iowa right around the same percentage at 56.6%. Defenses similar. Iowa a little bit weaker, a little bit leakier, and number 285, an effective field goal percentage defense in games played in March. Nebraska at 192 in that category. Both don't really rebound all that well. I think the biggest advantage for Nebraska and what will be paramount for Iowa if they want to survive and advance is protecting the basketball. Nebraska is sneaky effective with their on-ball pressure. Their force and turnover is nearly 20% of opponent possessions here in the month of March. So if Iowa can't break some of that press, if they make an errant pass here and there with the active hands that Nebraska has, given how close this game is across the board in terms of the overall matchups, that could be the difference in who wins and who loses. So, the spread right now at BetMGM is only a 1.5. That really, I think, justifies just how tizite this game is going to be. The total set 132.5. I kind of lean to the under because I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring affair, though you could have another overtime in play. This is going to be outstanding basketball, folks. And, for those of you that live outside the Midwest and the Great Plains, and are like, I don't give a damn about Iowa and Nebraska. I care more about it on the gridiron. I really care about it on the hard court. The crowd is going to be insane in the membrane. It's going to be probably 67% Nebraska fans. Because remember, folks, coming to the NCAA tournament, the Cornhuskers had never won an NCAA tournament game in school history. And they're in the Sweet 16, and they have a chance to possibly play their way to the Final Four with 2 more victories. So they're going to be in full throat. They never sit down, do Nebraska fans, and they travel like madmen and women. They made a 6.5-hour drive to Oklahoma City. It was basically a home game. The first 2 games for the Cornhuskers. They probably just slept overnight for the last couple of days in OKC. They're like, oh, we just got to go to Houston. Gas up the ride, honey. We're making a trip down to the Gulf of Mexico. And they're there. And they're going to fill the Toyota Center. It's not going to be Houston red. It's going to be Nebraska red with probably like 20-30% Iowa fans and a few orange and blue of my Illini mixed in. So this game is going to be high energy. It's going to be a fist fight kind of brawl. I can't wait for it. If I had a slight lean, earmuffs, Monty. Give me the Huskers. But this one is the epitome of a coin flip.
Yeah, I mean, look, you look at the Big Ten standings in the regular season. 6 teams finished the season ranked. 9 teams got in. These 2 teams are super underrated, Brad, and they are very alike one another in many, many ways. You look at the offense. They both actually score the basketball a lot more than I thought, for the most of the season. They're both in the top 6 in points per game. But these are the number 1 and the number 2 defenses in the Big Ten this entire year. Both allowed exactly 66 points per game to their opponents. They both were in the top 10 in field goal percentage. They both were in the top 10 in three-point field goal percentage. They both, like you said, struggle to rebound the basketball, though. They were both in the bottom half of the conference in that department, but both in the top 10 in fewest turnovers, both in the top 10 in assist to turnovers, number 1 and number 2 in steals per game in the Big Ten, but the worst 2 teams in the Big Ten in blocks per game. They don't have a lot of size, but they're both incredible defensively. McCullum's a great coach. Hoiberg's a great coach. And you got Bennett Sturtz, the star of Iowa, the biggest star in this game. But Bryce Sanford has done a pretty damn good job filling it up this year himself. Yeah, I couldn't tell you who the hell is going to win this game. I think it's going to come down to turnovers and rebounds, because I don't think either of these 2 teams are going to shoot the ball particularly that well, because they're both great defensively. Yeah, so who can hit their 3 balls as you're putting up the Trey sign to me? I would slightly lean Iowa. I'll split the vote here. I'll slightly lean with the Hawkeyes. Maybe it's just for Monty, but like if either team wins this by more than 8 points, that would be the most stunning thing to me, because I do think this is going to be a close. Yeah, so I'll lean Iowa. You lean Nebraska.